Well, hello, Emmy watchers and awards lovers. I'm Charlie Bright, and joining me today are my good buddies, Christopher Tsang and Tony Ruiz. One of whom is a good buddy. The other one is one I don't wish any specific harm to. So, oh, hold on. I have an echo, don't I?
I
I
don't
don't
hear.
hear one.
Okay, it was playing through my machine. I'm sorry about that. Uh, the delay was going through my machine. So yes, the 77th annual Emmy Awards have just wrapped up. Big night for the studio, the most awarded comedy in television Academy history. The Pit, coming off of I wouldn't say a disappointing creative arts ceremony, but definitely one where Severance was the big leader of the night, and Adolescence really plowing through. Doing really well. So, Tony, I know that you're usually the person who uh, likes to talk about these ceremonies as a package and as a televised event. What did you think of the 77th Emmy Awards?
I think if I was writing the headline, I think the headline would be a inspired and sometimes surprising group of winners set against the backdrop of one of the worst hosting jobs I've ever seen.
And what about you, Chris?
This was I went into this as I always do with this show with very low expectations with the hosting and the winners. And at least for one of those, I was delightfully surprised on at least three categories, um, which gave all of which happened in the middle of the show, which gave me a bolster of energy to tolerate and plow myself through the rest of the night.
Yeah, I'm gonna just disagree a bit. I don't think Nate Bargatze was particularly. I don't think he was bad. I just think it just wasn't gelling, at least through television. But it seemed like the audience liked what he was doing. Um,
Well, let me go into a little bit more detail. Okay,
please
so
do.
what we got really from Nick Bargatze was a one joke hosting job, and it wasn't even a joke. It was this whole thing with the Boys and Girls Club and raising money and having the countdown. And every time he came back on stage, it was like watching the old Jerry Lewis telethon. How much money have we raised? Let's go to the tote board. Um, and and then in between that, and there was really nothing else. The entire opening sequence, the entire opening moments of the show was basically just a riff on the George Washington skit that he's done twice on SNL. Inspired skits. Not sure we needed it on the Emmys. And then in between, I think what really let the show down was the writing. Very few uh, of the presenters were given anything substantial to do other than really bad, stilted, awkward banter, or these kind of grand, you know, let's see how many times we can use the word storyteller and artist leading up to presenting an award. It sounded in many ways like a bad Emmy show from like the 1980s. I just wish that with this group of winners, and there's so much to be excited about in this group of winners, I just wish that there was a show that lifted those up. But
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I wish with a lot of these award shows, I just wish there was like a more cohesive flow between category to category or between segment to segment. Like the Boys and Girls Club donation flashing on screen and getting lower in real time as someone, potentially for most of them gives a speech for what is potentially a once in a lifetime award. Just it doesn't mix well together, especially with like a segment that's supposed to be uplifting or like at times maybe like sometimes humorous depending on like what the where the joke comes out of.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that, and I'm surprised it didn't click with me earlier on that really there were no other jokes that Bargatze did, with the exception of his opening skit, and then just yeah, it seemed like every time he was out there, he was bringing up the bit again with Boys and Girls Club of America, and I think it actually would have had a bit more if he had just like done it like once and then maybe once more towards the end or something like that. It was over reliant on that. Um, uh, we had a lot of fun. I think Christopher, you were alluding to it earlier. The win that I think is going to be is without a doubt for me the best win of the night, and was probably one of the most shocking wins, and one of the most pleasant wins in recent memory. And that's Jeff Hiller winning supporting actor in a comedy series for Somebody Somewhere. Oh my God, that was just it's one of those moments where it's not just because, I know all three of us here are huge fans of Somebody Somewhere, but it's also seeing that genuine shock and having him get to see him absorbing the moment. And like he said when he got up on stage, he's been working for 25 years in the industry. I don't know if he's still a teacher at UCB in New York, but he's done a lot of work with the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater. um, that was just one of the most wonderful things that we've seen. It actually reminded me that happiness is still something that you can find in this demented slaughterhouse of a world we live in.
Yeah, I mean, that I think is really what saved the show for me is the winners. I think the winners were by and large, we talked about this, note to all of you watching. We all kind of watched this together, and so we were all kind of reacting to it together. And some of us share common favorite shows, some of us like other shows more than others. Um, but what was interesting was that this was not a one show dominating everything. We got lots of different winners from lots of different shows, which in this era of the Emmys doesn't happen very often. Um, I mean, let's take the drama side. We have the Pit winning stuff, Severance winning stuff, Slow Horses, Andor. Um, you know, it, that's a lot.
Especially with the way that the voting system is structured now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy like in the mix of like what will be a recurring thing at the Emmy Awards as long as this voting system is intact. In the midst of what this of a show sweeping, which is what happened with Adolescence, I'm glad that we still get a mix of surprise with um, drama directing, drama writing, comedy supporting actor, all going to winners that I don't think any of us had in at least the top one or two places, and gave us a real nail biter for the drama series race.
To a certain point, I think it was still pretty obvious that it was either going to be Severance or The Pit. But yeah, especially that Slow Horses directing one, I think was probably for me, for my money, the most shocking win of the night. Because I think it's also because when I think of the writing win last year, all I can come back to is other than the fact that I love the show Slow Horses. And I'm guessing there's a damn good chunk of the Academy that loves it too. Um, I was just like, well, they were just enamored with British accents. So, they're just like everything sounds better when it's done in a British accent. So that's what I chalked up the writing win last year. And, that just felt like it came out of nowhere. But I mean, good for them on that. And also good for Dan Gilroy for getting that writing win for Andor.
Yeah, I think it's so great to see. I mean, Andor, especially that particular episode, um, was it's such an out of left field pick, and yet it makes total sense if you like see the episode. You know exactly why it won.
Yeah, I and it proves that uh vote splitting can be a thing. that's how you get a shock of all these winners. That's how Hannah Einbinder won against two studio actors. That's how Slow Horses won against two Pit episodes, two Severance episodes. That's and it's like it's something to factor into place when like looking like if there's no standout between like a show that has multiple nominees in a category, what's there's going to be something else that has passion, especially in that directing category. And or Slow Horses, White Lotus, those have very standout moments when it comes to their directions and their particular episodes.
And
And
they are, and in some of those, like especially like I think like said the Severance episodes, they fit into that category of the most directed. They feel like they have all those they're making all the selections that just heighten all the drama.
exactly, and like same with writing. Um, Maybe Severance is not when Severance lost that category, that probably was the first hint at maybe it might not go all the way in drama series. But in writing, uh, you have uh, especially in Andor, you have the standout monologue that perfectly encapsulates like the way we're living right now. And something like that can like easily resonate to a lot of voters, especially the people in the writings branch, who are lately known for more gutsy predictions and gutsy, edgier choices.
Yeah, but one of the things that I think is so interesting to me is as much as we can look back and say, yeah, the win for Andor makes sense. It does and it kind of doesn't because in this new voting system without the blue ribbon panels, you have to rely on something really capturing enough voters. And I think there's still this kind of question that I think has been eliminated tonight that we've seen shows like Andor get nominations before and The Mandalorian get nominations before, but we don't necessarily see it win in major categories, especially something like writing. So the fact that it was able to appeal to that wide a swath of voters shows that you know that we don't know what we're talking about.
I'm curious. So I know I just went through, the we were talking about the three biggest shocks of the night. I'm curious as to which win was the one that for you was what was the expected win of the night that ended up coming to fruition that made you the most delighted?
I would say Catherine Lanassa for the Pit. Um, I always said that if the Pit were to win drama series, it would be very weird if she didn't go along with that ride. Given that she is the only nominee facing four women from the White Lotus, which this season is arguably not as praised or well received as their previous two.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was the pit winning drama. Um, uh, not only, which is not only makes me happy because I predicted it, but also because it's my favorite show of the year. Um, and in many ways, a real throwback to the kind of shows that um, could win on a tape system. There's a certain nostalgic quality, and it's no accident the fact that Noah Wiley, with the cred of ER and the popularity of ER, when you put a show that was as popular as ER was in its heyday, um, on HBO, on HBO Max, uh, there's something almost comforting about it. It's very much in many ways a throwback winner. So it just made me really happy. If and the only I would have been happy if Andor had won, um, because that was my second favorite show of the year. But uh, yeah, for me the Pit winning. Noah Wiley finally having two Emmys is outstanding.
The Pit is also the first drama series winner since 24, which they both share a similar storytelling, real-time formats. It's the first drama to win. I think that is with an episode count of more than its standard cable 13 episodes. So it's a real throwback to 2006 when 24 won, and it was also when it was the year of the famous Blue Ribbon panel that gave us a lot of wacky nominees and a lot of shocking snubs.
Is the Pit the most recent medical drama to win since ER?
Probably there's Mad Men, Sopranos, Homeland, Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, Handmaid's Tale, Crown, Shogun. What one between Crown and Shogun? Oh, Succession. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It's probably
Yeah,
the first medical drama to win since ER, because there's West Wing and Sopranos and NYPD Blue and all that, Practice, stuff like that. Law and Order. I don't know if that one.
It did win in 1995, I think it was.
96. 95 was ER.
I think my personal favorite win probably, I'm going to go, even though I was so delighted with the Pit wins and it winning drama series, even though that was not what I was expecting going into tonight. I really loved the two acting wins from Severance. Tremel Tillman was just he was such a standout in that first season, and I really thought he just brought it with the second season. He was one of the most enjoyable things to watch with the second season, and same with Britt Lowry. It's she's someone who I thought was going to get in for that first season, and she just brought that same intensity to it. It was just great. I do feel kind of bad for Adam Scott, because I feel like he's someone who I think when I think of someone who's like a modern, what you would say is a TV star, I think Adam Scott really fits that bill, and he's been giving such delightful performances for so many years. Going back to Party Down, Parks and Rec, now Severance, and innumerable guest appearances.
Big Little Lies.
Yeah, Big Little Lies, the greatest event in television history, where him and John Hamm recreated the opening of Simon and Simon. If you haven't seen it, it's actually pretty baller.
For those of you under the age of 40, Simon and Simon was a show. Never mind.
I feel safe in thinking that he'll probably win something. He'll win an Emmy someday.
He's also a producer on Severance, so if Severance does win drama series again, then he'll win as a producer. Like Noah Wiley just won for producing The Pit too.
Yep. Let's see. So we talked a lot about comedy and drama. Did anybody want to say anything about the Adolescent Sweep, or Christian Miliotti's win for the Penguin?
I really should have seen Stephen Graham coming.
It was a coin flip for me. It was a coin flip for me too.
It would. I tried to figure out what would be weirder, because I knew Kristen Milioti was more of a lock in her category than Colin Farrell was in his. I tried to think what would be weirder with Chris Milioti winning but Farrell losing, or Adolescents winning everything except Stephen Graham for lead actor. That's the coin flip that you
juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's definitely, I mean, it was a hot show when it came out. I stuck with Colin Farrell because I foolishly thought that he built a lot of goodwill, and also he really is an incredible campaigner. He is a very, very, very effective campaigner. So I thought that the huge nomination haul that the Penguin had, I thought was going to bode well for him as well. But ended up being Stephen Graham. I mean, more power to him. I think he's incredible in Adolescence.
Yeah, I just feel, I mean, as much as I love Stephen Graham's win, and I thought his speech was really great, winning for lead actor. Um, but I mean, what does Colin Farrell have to do to get the Oscars that he should have won already and the Emmys that he should have won already?
Well, the thing about it is that what's actually been interesting over the past, I think, with his career, definitely in the past decade, has been the interesting is how interesting the roles are that he's taken. So I have no doubt that he'll just continue popping up in things that we're just going that'll just make us go, dear God, what can't this man do?
Yeah, yeah, and it.
Um,
I'm still on a Noah Wiley high.
I'm glad he trimmed his
I'm
beard.
still
I'm
on a
very
Jeff.
glad he trimmed his beard.
I'm still on a Jeff Hiller high. Who knew the actors branch would be more gutsy than the writers branch when it came to Somebody Somewhere?
I mean, yeah, I mean that's gonna go in my list of probably like, the 25 biggest upsets, but the most wonderful upsets, that happened that, I put that on the same level as the soundtrack to Oh Brother Where Art Thou winning album of the year at the Grammys.
Yeah, the best part of his speech was when he thanked HBO for allowing to air like a show about middle-aged sweaty old men against the teens from Euphoria. That was really funny, especially, when Somebody Somewhere is like Shakespeare compared to Euphoria in terms of storytelling.
Yeah, I don't know what made me happier, Jeff Hiller's win or literally every gay in the audience on their feet.
It was a
They cut.
tug of war between straights and queers and gays in the comedy categories.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
especially that one.
yeah. But just see, but like Bowen Yang was so happy, Michael Urie was so happy. I think I saw Sarah Paulson really, really happy. Um, it was I that was see now that is a win that I think would have been less shocking under the tape system. Um, although I still think under the tape system, probably maybe Harrison Ford would have won because he's got the speech. But for a teeny tiny little show like Somebody Somewhere, for that to get Jeff Hiller across the finish line is just spectacular.
And it's also like it's comforting to know that like these passion picks do happen as maybe as rare or as uncommon as it seems. These passion picks do happen, especially in categories where it's really like it's a huge toss up because because initially everyone was wondering would Harrison Ford win, would Ike Barinholtz win and go along with the studio's trajectory. When you have like that much uncertainty that isn't a category like Colin Farrell and Stephen Graham where one of those two will win. It paves the way for more passion picks such as Slow Horses and Andor, which is given those two episodes that they're not surprising by itself, but given like what happened last year with Slow Horses winning writing and also Andor have a really astounding showcase in directing. The fact that it flipped against made it harder to predict what will win drama series between Severance and The Pit since they lost both of them was really something to behold on.
I will say actually when Severance ended up losing both writing and directing, that actually I think it was that moment, even more than Catherine Lanassa's win, that made me actually think, okay, the Pit's probably got this.
Especially when it was the sole nominee in writing, because The Pit had two in writing, so you could justify why it lost there. And I guess Severance, the finale, I guess, is more of a directing showcase than a writing showcase.
I would say so. I would say that. I would say that too. Um, We also got a really nice speech from Stephen Colbert uh, uh, for winning the talk series category. Finally,
the most popular man in the room. Um,
Two
uh,
standing ovations.
yeah, and them literally kind of like I don't can't recall ever hearing chanting at an Emmy show. They were cheering for Stephen Colbert before Bryan Cranston opened the envelope. They were chanting Stephen's name when he
that was
got
a
up on
great callback to the
stage.
Colbert Report.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've said it before, and I said it before when the news came down about what had happened to his show. Um, but I think it's time to bring back the Colbert Report.
Oh, that would be.
I
I'm
don't
in.
know if I don't know if it would work now. That's the thing because we are in such a surreal time. I do not know if it would work now, um, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
Especially since Comedy Central is now owned by Paramount. Yeah, it was such a refresher, given that category is when you look at that category's history, it can be very lazy with the Daily Show and Last Week Tonight, especially 2 years ago when a lot of us were predicting a Stephen Colbert back then. It was the only category most of us got wrong when the Daily Show with Trevor Noah ended up winning.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting how that all. I will say the one repeat win I actually adamantly defend is Last Week Tonight winning the writing award, specifically because what the writing staff on that show does on that show is incredible, and the quality of the material has not ebbed. It's consistently been strong, and you got to think like, especially with what we're seeing now, I actually feel like that show is probably one of the best pieces of investigative journalism that we have in the country right now. Um, Especially if you look at the direction that Paramount CBS News is might be going in the near future.
And the demise of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Oh boy.
I can't think of them defunding NPR now without thinking of how on South Park Cartman's favorite show is NPR because it's liberals bitching and moaning about it.
Well, it seems like the most guaranteed way to win an Emmy is to trigger a certain wannabe despot. So,
Yeah, it's how Melissa McCarthy got her second one,
Mhm.
and unfortunately gave us the Alec Baldwin win in 2017.
yeah, I didn't say it was a foolproof system.
Doesn't mean it's good.
It's a system.
What were you saying, Chris?
I wasn't saying anything.
Oh,
Well,
okay, I thought you were jumping in with
I
something.
probably lost it.
So yeah, so that I think that kind of wraps it up with the 77th annual Emmy Awards. Before we go, we have who knows what television we might get in the next 10 months um before nomination voting concludes for next year's Emmys, the 78th annual Emmy Awards. Is there anything that you're looking forward to that you think might be a potential player in the Emmy race next year?
Mine would be Vince Gilligan's next Apple TV show, Pluribus, with Reyes Sehorn, especially given how much of a fan I am of Better Call Saul and how, to this day, still bitter that they never won an Emmy amidst 53 fucking nominations. Hoping that gains some tractions, especially during the Winter Awards. Um, and I'm sure there's a lot of limited series with A-list stars that are gonna like attract some eyeballs um, in the next year.
What about you,
Um,
Tony?
um, I I think the limited series are going to be interesting. You've got Black Rabbit on Netflix coming this week with Jude Law and Jason Bateman. Laura Linney's directing a couple of episodes of that as well. Um, uh, I'm really interested. Okay, niche, probably niche. But the I believe the second season of Monarch: Legacy of Monsters uh, is coming in the new year, which I thought was underrated in its first season, and I think can only be even better with newly minted Emmy winner Anna Sawai in the lead role. And my favorite show right now is Alien Earth. I think Noah Hawley's take on the Alien franchise has been absolutely nothing short of inspired. Um, Particularly a rather disturbing new monster that has haunted my nightmares. Those of you that are fans of the show know who I'm talking about. Um, so those are kind of the ones that I'm looking forward to.
And I will say now that the pit has proven it can do well at the Emmys, season two is just gonna absolutely dominate next year when it comes out in January. Especially those drama. Be on the lookout for those drama supporting acting races where they will, and probably one other show will occupy 90% of those categories, as they do every single year. As
Fingers crossed for Garen Howell. Fingers
as,
crossed for Garen Howell. I love him so much on that show.
as evidence with Succession, White Lotus, Severance, Squid Game, Morning Show, at least three actors get in. Their supporting actors get in every year.
So yeah, I am also with you on the pit. I cannot wait for that new season to come out. That's gonna be one where I'm actually literally will be watching like every single week, just on the edge of my seat for it. Um, I'm very interested in this new Netflix show that's coming out called Boots, about a young gay man who enlists in the Marine Corps in the early, I think in the early or mid 1990s, and it is billed as a comedy drama. So I'm actually very interested to see that kind of dynamic explore Don't Ask, Don't Tell in a bit more of the absurd ways and the absurdities of that policy rather than just making it, about how shitty it was, even though, yes, it was immensely a shitty policy. Um, and The other one is this new FX show with Ethan Hawke called The Lowdown.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I am on a quest for Ethan Hawke to win an Emmy after he was so egregiously left out for The Good Lord Bird a couple years ago, which he was so fucking great in. Um, I would love to see. I hope that that series is good, and if it's good, that it can get some Emmy traction.
Is it limited or drama?
I think it's. I actually can't remember from the email. I can't remember. I think it looks like it might be a drama. It might be a drama. Um,
The first 5 seconds of that trailer of uh, Ethan Hawke, that's an immediate selling point on that show,
oh
and
yeah,
and an immediate selling point on his performance and why it should be nominated, especially at these winter awards coming up.
and I mean, you also cannot go wrong with having Keith David in your show. um, who is an Emmy winner, deservedly so. But the show also has someone who I don't think has been nominated for an Emmy for it must be like 35 years, and that's Kyle MacLachlan. I don't think he's been nominated since that second Twin Peaks nomination in, I guess, what was that, 1991, I think it was.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, and talk about someone who I think is another great example of someone who's a great TV star. Not to mention someone who has aged beautifully. Um, he has aged immensely. He is just gorgeous, and he's someone who just deserves more recognition. Uh, so I'm really hoping that it's good for him and that maybe he can break through and maybe get back into the Emmy race.
Justice for Twin Peaks: The Return.
No kidding. That was the soapbox I wouldn't shut the fuck up about. I would not get off of in 2018.
And you're still on it.
Yeah, I'm still on it because what else am I going to do? Well, everyone, thanks so much for joining us or for watching this afterwards, the morning after. We're gonna hope to maybe do this for some more stuff. See our live reactions to things like, the Oscar nomination announcement, and also post shows with different award shows about where we are now coming up. We have a lot of festivals have concluded. We got a lot of interesting stuff going on there in terms of what's going to be major players at the Oscars this year. We'll probably get together at some point, talk about that. If you guys are interested, just please keep an eye out for this channel, and we will and our new posts. Again, Chris, Tony, thank you so much for joining. Thanks so much for being a part of this. And to everybody, peace, love, and stay out of the hospital. Y'all take care now. Okay, I think we're good.